Good morning. This is Black Crow Walking and Karen Morley bringing you A Course of Love by Mari Perrin. That's the book that we're studying, A Course of Love. And we're up to chapter 4, which is quite amazing to me. Chapter 4 is about love's equity, and we're going to start at verse 8 this morning. Yearning, learning, seeking, acquiring the need to own, the need to keep, the grasping call, the driving force, the chosen passion, all these things that you have made to replace what you already have, will lead you back as surely as they can lead you astray. Where what you have made will lead rests only on your decision. Your decision, couched in many forms, is simply this: to proceed toward love or to withdraw from it, to believe it is given or withheld. Would you like to read the next one, Karen?
Sure. Love is all that follows the law of God in your world. All else assumes that what one has is denied another. While love cannot be learned nor practiced, there is a practice we must do in order to recognize love's presence. We practice living by the law of love, a law of gain, not loss, a law that says the more you give, the more you gain.
Ooh, I think we'll go again. There are no losers and no winners under God's law. Not one is given more than another. God cannot love you more than your neighbour, nor can you earn more of God's love than you have, or a better place in heaven. The mind, under the ego's direction, has thrived on winners and on losers, on striving for and earning a better place. The heart knows not these attributes, and those who think their heart have learned them by being battered and abused by their experience here. Rejoice in knowing that it is not so. This seeming illusion is believed in because your mind has made it so. Your thoughts have reviewed and reviewed again all the pain that love has brought. It dwells on those occasions when love has failed, because it does not recognize that love cannot fail. Wow. This is for me today, obviously, because I've been bruised and battered by relationships in this life. My body and my mind have really listened to this today. So there's a lot of unlearning to be done in both my body and my mind, because I think we retain the memory of abuse in our bodies, don't we, Karen?
Certainly do.
So I love the way that starts: yearning, learning, seeking, acquiring, the need to own, the need to keep, the grasping call, the driving force, the chosen passion. Oh my God. All these things that you have made to replace what you already have will lead you back as surely as they can lead you astray. And that's us, we're all about getting the house, getting the best job, getting a job. Getting a house is even a problem these days. Yearning for what we haven't got or what we perceive we haven't got. Seeking and needing to own this, needing to own that, like even if we go to a op shop, we just need to own it, don't we? Just got to have that. Why? It's because we're grasping and we've got this driving force to have, and I don't know if that's a learned behaviour or if it's a result of the learned behaviour. What do you think, Karen?
Sometimes I think that it's replacing a hole that we perceive we have, unconsciously. So filling the void, and so
Mm.
grabbing at all these different things to fill a void that, as it says here, isn't really there. If we really go back to love, then, we don't need all of those things. And we're not talking about romantic love here or that sort of love. It's a deeper, richer, more encompassing love that, if we really came back to that and weren't led astray, we didn't allow ourselves to go astray and grab for all of these things. I know for me, I have done that all my life. I have sought, not sure what the word for seeking is other than seeking. I have been seeking, definitely, and trying to acquire and thinking it's going to do something for me. But it doesn't. It just doesn't hit the spot.
And the funny part about it for me is that every time we have to move house, we complain about all this stuff that we've got. That we've acquired. And it's just stuff, isn't it? It's just stuff in our lives. It's not relevant. Like I always feel better when I've got less clutter in my life, and yet I'm the clutterer.
There's a heaviness to that too, that,
Yes.
taking from place to place. It's like a heavy sack that we're carrying. And is that what we really need? And as you say, decluttering, living simply is so much freer and lighter, and we can move with more ease.
Yeah. Where what we have made will lead rest. Oh, sorry. Where what you have made will lead rests only on your decision. What does that mean? Can you read that? I'm reading it wrong.
Where what you have made will lead rests only on your decision. My interpretation of that is that your own decision will lead you in a certain path.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's either going to lead you astray or back to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, your decision couched in many forms is simply this: to proceed toward love or to withdraw from it, to believe it is given or withheld. And it's interesting, we fall into so many illusions about love being withheld from us, and yet it can't be withheld because we are love inside us. It's always here.
And I think too, it's the believing that it comes from outside of us, and that's where we need to obtain it. So for me, it's been, well, I'm only lovable if somebody loves me, or instead of really embracing. I love this particular sentence because it is a simple choice. Do I proceed towards love or do I withdraw? It's either or. Do I believe it's given or is it withheld? And to me, no, as you say, it's within me. So I don't really need it to be given to me.
And the interesting part about your language then, Karen, is that I'm still hearing seeking.
Ah,
Because if it's inside us,
yeah, we
we don't have to seek it. It's just there. We just have to become aware of it. Yeah, and that's the thing, we're so trained. We're so trained from birth to seek love outside ourselves. Be a good girl. And if you're not a good girl, I'm going to withdraw my love from you. I'm going to bash you, I'm going to do all that, go to your room, stand in the corner. So many trainings that we had as a child that if you don't behave in a certain way, love is withdrawn. And, so how do we get out of that? How do we get out of seeking for love? How do we stop looking for a partner because we think we haven't got love in our lives? Those sorts of things. We need to really, really own them You
Mm.
know, own the training that we have been given in order to get beyond it. You know, and and the language that that we're still using. Oh, I need to go downtown today and get this. I hear myself say that all the time. I need to. I have to get that. I have to. And it's the language. We're still buying into this need to, have to, acquiring, um, yearning for. Yeah.
I know for me, it's after all these years of living on this planet, it always has been seeking outside of myself. And now I'm coming back to myself.
Mm.
And it's a rediscovery and a journey within. And to know that I am love, I can know it in my head, and then to gradually understand and embrace that. And coming from that place, I feel so much joy in the little moments that happens. It's as if the world is filled with lots of color and smells and aromas, and everything's just amazing. But they're little slivers of time at the moment. And I just, yeah, I have to keep remembering who I am and what I am.
Mm. And I had a day one day where I practiced I don't have to, you know, and it was like I tapped into this little girl. I don't have to, I don't have to. You can't make me. And who was I talking to? Myself. So it is. There's a mother voice inside us, or a father voice, or a husband's voice, or a child's voice that says, "You have to do this for me." I remember when I had little children, if I didn't do what they wanted me to do, my son was down on the ground, kicking and screaming and chucking the biggest tantrum. And I have to, especially in the supermarket. But it's not true. And I guess one of the ways that we deprogram is to play with it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Make it a game. Make it a game. And and that really makes you see the programming and where the programming is still inside us. And you know, when you can make it a game and it's fun. It's fun to see yourself and see your response to others when they're demanding or telling you have to do something. Yeah.
I like that, to have fun.
Yeah, have fun. Play. Love is all that follows the law of God in your world. Love is all that follows the law of God in your world. All else assumes that what one has is denied another. What one has is denied another. If I've got it, you can't have it. As children, what was that like? If I've got it, you can't have it, you know?
Yeah. And
Mm.
that's all through our world. I'm looking also at that line before, love is all that follows the law of God. I sometimes look at when it says a law of God, I go, oh my goodness, that's the demands, that's the you have to, and that is a rule, things like that. But instead, I'm reading differently today. I'm seeing that as it's just the way, like an apple falls from a tree, it doesn't go up into the air. It's a law. I think the word law is very can be used many ways. But there, that love is all that follows the law of God. So it is all there is. It is natural. It is how it is
Mm.
in the
Mm.
world.
Mm.
So I'm really resting in that one.
Mm. And there are laws, there's spiritual laws. And when you break those spiritual laws, you create chaos. You know? When and the laws are set up for they're like rules around They're like rules around things, universal laws, like the universal law of manifestation, the law of attraction, you know, chaos and um, karma and things like that are all results, you know, they're results. And what is the result of love? The result of love is that that love is always here. But the result of forgetting that is that we go into our egoic mind and try and sort it out and work it out. Whereas if we could just remember that love is here, if we could just be in that moment of now where that's all there is, there's only love, we could see everything differently.
Yeah, totally.
Amazing. All right.
We're up to while love cannot be learned nor
Yeah,
practiced.
read it for me, darling.
Okay. While love cannot be learned nor practiced, there is a practice we must do in order to recognize love's presence. We practice living by the law of love, a law of gain, not loss, a law that says, the more you give, the more you gain. Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Tell me what you're thinking.
I'm thinking the more you give. So often there's that feeling of, if I give something, I need to get something in return. So that often there's a reluctance because I might not get something in return. So there's a reluctance in sharing. But this is more just openly give, and it will return to you. Not that that's why you're doing it, but it is like a law, it will come back to you. And it will, just in the act of giving, if it's done out of pure love, then that's a gift in itself. And you receive that at the same time because of where it's coming from, that place it's coming from, regardless of what other outside things come back to you. It's that coming from that space. And yeah, it's just a reminder to do it more often and to be in that place more often, rather than I've got to protect myself, I've got to hold this all within. If I let it go, then I have less. And I really, really like that there is no less. It is just, it is. So it expands with, I think that's what I'm getting from it. It expands the more it's used. So it's like a muscle. The more I use it, the more it will be strong and it will operate really well and in its true form.
Thank you. Yeah, it brings up for me the opposite of receiving because it's like this whole universe sometimes can be completely out of whack, completely out of balance, completely out of alignment because we know how to give and we're good at it. We've been doing it all our lives, but we don't know how to receive. And so, no, you don't need to do that comes out of our mouth so many times when somebody is trying to give us something. It's the denial of the receiving. It's the denial in the receiving. And what is it that makes us deny someone else trying to give us something? Is it the fact that we think we don't deserve it, or is it what is it that makes you not able to receive, not able to bless the other person by receiving what they're giving? This is a big subject for me, Karen, because I see the world as out of balance in this way.
Mm-hmm.
And the gift of receiving, when you can actually receive, you suddenly feel this unrecognizable humbleness. It's like, oh, okay. And when you let yourself, it's like we have to wade through all this conditioning to actually let ourselves receive from another person, you know, and when you deny that gift, when you deny that receiving, there's a deep wounding that comes with that. And I remember trying to give my mother a flower when I was a child. I was 4 years old. I'd come home and I'd found this little yellow daisy on the side of the road. And I had it behind my back. And I went up to my mother was having an afternoon rest. And I went in to my mother and I said, "Look, Mummy, I got this for you." And she said, "Ew, wet the bed. Get that away from me." And that's what she thought the flower was, a wet the bed, you know. And I don't know where that came from in her, probably somewhere in her inner child. But I was so wounded because I was so excited I had something to give my mother. You know what I mean? And that story has stayed with me, and I'm 66 years old now, so that's 62 years. Well, no, I was 4, so it's 60 years of holding on to a story of wanting so much to give, to bless my mother because I loved my mother. And to have that reaction was like crushing to a 4-year-old, absolutely crushing. And so somewhere in my DNA, somewhere in my programming is a crushed little girl that tentatively gives now with the hope that someone can see my love. Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing, isn't it?
it is. And I know for receiving, as you speak of receiving, when somebody would give a compliment or would do something, I would feel I would be obliged. And I still probably hold on to that. But I'm obliged to give back. But I learnt to say thank you. So instead of, oh, no, I'm not this, or, I stop myself and I say thank you. And that to me has been a big shift. And I've probably been doing that for 30 years, is saying thank you. Just stopping myself, having that breath, that breather, instead of saying, oh, no, I'm not, or denying what they're giving, which is a gift. It's a gift. It's like I'm shoving that gift back in their face, like what you were saying about your mum not really appreciating that beautiful gift of a flower for her and where it was coming from. That gift is given, and if I'm not acknowledging it for what it is hurtful. It's hurtful for the person giving, and it actually does something to the person receiving too. It's reinforcing, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. So yes, that those simple words of thank you, there could be other words, but the really accepting, it's a showing of acceptance of what is being offered, is so important for me, to remember to continue to do that.
And I think that leads me into another little story that I'd like to share. Is when I lived with the Native American Indians, we had what was called a trading blanket, and it was a silent trade. And someone in the tribe would put something in the center of the blanket, and everybody else would sit around the outside. And if you wanted that thing that was in the center of the blanket, you would put something down that you felt was of equal value to it. As a sign of respect, you wouldn't just put down something that wasn't of value at all compared to what it was. So, say it was a flint napped life. You might knife, I mean, not life. We need to flint nap our lives. That's hard to say, isn't it? So it might be a pair of moccasins that you've made, and it's all handmade stuff. And each person around the edge would put something down, and the person that put the thing in the middle would respectfully, very respectfully, go around, pick everything up, look at it, value it, and then put it down. And then they would choose what they wanted to trade, and they'd pick up their thing from the middle of the blanket, and they'd go over to the person and they'd hand it to them, and they'd take the thing from them, and then they'd shake hands and they'd say, "Good trade." And, it was like when I experienced that, I experienced valuing, and that for me was an amazing lesson to be able to value what is given or what is offered.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think that is that for me was not only just respect, but it was also an expression of love for the other person. Because as you value something that somebody else has done or has presented, then you're honoring the love in them because they've put love into that gift that they've given you, or they've put love into making that gift. Yeah, interesting
Mm.
subject, isn't it?
Beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
All right. So did we get down to the end of 9?
Yes.
Okay. So um, there did we read 10?
No.
Yes, we did, didn't we?
Where is practice? Oh, we did in the original, yes, but we haven't
There.
discussed it.
Okay. There are no losers and no winners under God's law. Not one is given more than another. God cannot love you more than your neighbour, nor can you earn more of God's love than you have, or better place in heaven. This is reminding me of my own son now. He always compared love. It's the comparing mind. And I've just realised in the last few weeks how dangerous a comparing mind is. You know, um, I haven't got enough of this and she has, so therefore she's more loved than I am. And that comparing mind keeps the person who's comparing in a diminished place. And who's diminishing them? Not the fact that they haven't got as much, but their own thought system is diminishing them. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not as loved as my sister. My mother loves my sister more than me. And all that sort of comparing thing that's so destructive in our society and learned right from the time that we are children. And it's based on what we have and what we don't have.
Mm.
It's full on, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And I think for me, in growing up, I needed to prove that I was worthy.
Mm,
That's been a big thing all through life,
yeah.
is proving that I am worthy. And that's usually for other people. But it did include God. It did include God in that, to prove that I was worthy. And now I've come to a place where I'm feeling very comfortable that I don't need to prove anything to God. I'm just loved and accepted, and I am who I am. But it's dismantling and detaching from that needing the approval of other people.
Hmm.
That's been huge, and it still is huge, of that approval. And have I lost place there about that? Yeah, that I need to be a good girl or do better at it so that I am valued for who I am, instead of, no, I'm just who I am,
Yeah.
and I am of value.
And I also suffer the good girl complex. If I feel like I've let someone down or done something wrong inadvertently, oh, the pain that causes me in my heart, it's unbelievable. Maybe
So
I should
true.
maybe I should practice the opposite.
What's that? What's that?
Oh, getting on the back of a motorbike with black leathers on and sailing off into the sunset with a bad guy. No, 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 don't do it. Don't do it. Oh dear, we create our own demons, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, nor can you earn more of God's love than you have, or better, or a better place in heaven. The mind, under the ego's direction, has thrived on winners and on losers and on striving for and earning a better place. A whole society runs on that, doesn't it?
No, totally.
The heart knows not these attributes. No. Is it? No. The heart knows not these distinctions. I saw attributes there. Isn't that really funny?
Yeah.
And those who think their hearts have learned them by being battered and abused by their experience here rejoice in knowing that it is not so.
Mm.
That I am love and I don't have to do any of that stuff. Don't have to put up with it. Don't have to do anything like that. And, I've just realized in the last 2 weeks, Karen, that self love is divine love. When I love myself, I'm recognizing God within me, the love inside me.
Mm.
And I'm joining it. I'm joining it with my mind. I'm joining it with my willpower. I'm joining into the heart of love when I love myself. And it's only the lack of love for myself that kept me in dysfunctional relationships where I was actually being hurt,
Mm.
you know, and I couldn't find that self love. Yeah, so
Very powerful.
this seemingly illusion is believed in because your mind has made it so. That's right. All illusions are believed in because our mind has made it so. That's why we don't let the mind be in control. Your thoughts have reviewed and reviewed again, and all the pain that love has brought. That's rolling around in that hamster cage, isn't it? Reviewed and gone over and tried to make it different and work it out and find meaning. It dwells on those occasions when love has failed because it does not recognize the love that love cannot fail. And that for me is the crux of all this today, Karen. It's like, I'll just read it again. It dwells on those occasions when love has failed because it does not recognize that love cannot fail. And you can be friends with someone for years and years and years. You can have the best times in the world. You can have loving, supportive times, times where you've had so much fun. And you do one thing out of place, whether it's deliberate or not. And that person will only see that one thing out of place and not all the wonderful times that you've had together and all the beautiful times. And that rejection comes and you don't know what the hell happened because you had such a good time with that person, you know. And we just see the bad thing, not the good things. And that bad thing becomes the choice that we make our decisions on.
Mm.
And it's a cruel system out there. It really is a cruel system when we forget suddenly all the love that we've received from that person in order to focus. And that's the hamster cage again, focusing on what we see as bad.
Mm. Mm.
And I think with NVC, Karen, it talks about letting go of, or NVC is nonviolent communication, letting go of right, wrong, good or bad. And when we don't measure everything against right, wrong, good or bad, when we stop doing that, then we'll just notice things that aren't in alignment. And it's just a moment. It's one moment when those things aren't in alignment. And not make them the be all and end all of the relationship.
Mm. And I know for me that I have always gone over and over so that your thoughts have reviewed and reviewed again. It's like I'm stuck in quicksand and I'm going over and over. So I'm struggling. I'm struggling. And so when you struggle in quicksand, my understanding is that you get drawn down deeper, deeper, deeper within it,
Mm.
and you're more stuck. And that's what I've done with relationships that have ended. And I've gone over and over and dwell on the past. What could have been done better? What? Instead of just going, that's how it is. And moving forward and just, it's like floating. I get an image of just, okay, that's how it was. I'm in quicksand. I'm just going to float up and I'm just going to move to the side, get out, and enjoy the sunshine and what's around me in nature and what else is there, instead of just being fixated on those moments in time that have caused, that I felt have caused me pain. You know, they may be a blessing in disguise. But my interpretation has always been they're being painful, to let go, you know, to let go of people who I thought were important in my life. And I do review and review and review. And I catch myself now. When I'm catching myself, I let go of that. Go, there was some learning from that, and I will acknowledge that and move forward and be more present to where I am now and what I'm doing now, and then retuning into that love of self, that okay, I'm okay, because it, to me, it was a reflection that I was not lovable, that I'm not lovable, and that's why that didn't work. And so it was a constant reinforcement of I am not lovable, I am not enough, I'm never enough. So that's, at the moment, that's what my head's saying, the ego is saying. And it's catching that. It's catching those moments when I'm doing that to myself and going, hang on, that's not me. Like you were mentioning about the, it's only a moment. It's only a moment. It's not the whole picture. It's only a moment, and that's not you. And yeah, not putting that moment in time, that relationship, as a measure of my value. It's not my value at all. So it's opening, you know, it's taken me a long while, and you know, to the end of my, this part of my life, to come to that knowledge, and now it's to embrace a different way.
So it's a whole lot of clutter, isn't it, really? It's a whole lot of collecting and getting pain and getting stories and getting values based on right, wrong, good, bad, you know, and there's this blindness that happens when we label things bad that stops us from seeing the bigger picture, the beautiful relationship that we've had with that person. And I think also it brings in for me the thought of vibrational frequency, and when we're at odds with someone else, it's because we're not vibrating at the same level. Or no, it's not even, the word level is not appropriate. It's the same frequencies. I'll just say that. And so there can be a rubbing up against. And you know, there are times when we need to let people go. And but that doesn't mean we don't love them any that we love them less. It just means that we all have a path to follow, and that path is leading us away, or it's leading them away. And there's other things that they're here to do in life, and you know, that I might be here to do in life, that I need to follow a different path now, or I need to take this direction or that direction. And comparing mind wants to grab hold of that and shake it to death. So I think today I'm going to stop this seeking and acquiring and needing to own, and the yearning for, and the grasping, and the driving force and the chosen passion. I'm going to stop all that today, and I'm just going to be happy with what's here. I'm just going to be in love with what's here, and you know, I was being driven through Sydney yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? I'm not sure. No, the day before. And we were stopped in a bus. We were in a bus, and I was stopped at a pedestrian crossing, and I was doing this thing of seeing love in everything and everyone on the way home. It was kind of like a little game I was playing. And I saw those people walking across the pedestrian crossing, and I thought, every single one of those people is full of love. And they have beautiful stories of love inside them. And my heart was just welling with joy thinking about that, Karen. And it was like my senses were resting. Sometimes I'd see yellow, sometimes see a little purple bush growing out of a rock wall. And like imagining how much dirt that little bush was actually holding on to in order to grow out of the rock. And seeing the beautiful purple that it was producing in the flowers, and just going into so much appreciation, heart appreciation for the love that took, you know, and just looking at the world differently from the point of view of love is in everything and everyone.
Mm.
And I think I'm going to play that game again today.
I love it. I do play that game too, where I look at everyone and I see the love of who they are, and yeah, say, yeah, they've got a story. I wonder what that story is, but
Mm,
I don't go further than that, and just look and really appreciate all those people around me and for who they are.
mm.
It is a wonderful game to play and changes the day. Totally changes the day.
Yep. All right, beloved. Well, that's it for today, and I hope that you all managed to find love in everything today and come play with me and Karen.
Yeah.
Until we meet again tomorrow, God bless you. Bye for now. Thanks, Karen.